um, Hello, everyone. You are a new crowd. Um, Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Patrick Fernando Lamas. Most of my friends just call me Fern, so feel free to refer to me as a Dr. Fern. If you're here listening to this today, watching me appear on stage, then you are a trusted employee of the SCP Foundation, or you are an employee of one of our allied groups of interest here to assist us with the study of an anomaly. Uh, you will see why I'm the one doing this in just a moment. Today, we are going to be discussing SCP 8906. Now, reading directly from the description of SCP 8906's article, SCP 8906 is a life form of uncertain origin. It contains a black, fleshy main body with three thick tendrils supporting its mass on the ground, a smaller fourth on its back, and an uncertain number having metastasized. Sorry, that's a word I haven't seen before. Throughout the structure, having grown into the walls and ceiling. As such, its precise size is unknown. Polyps of the entity protrude from various surfaces in the building and bear superficial resemblance to carrion crows. Corvus coron, for those of you who care about the scientific name. Through unknown mechanisms, the growth of SCP 8906 has a clear correlation with efficiency of Foundation operations in the United Kingdom. We're going to focus mainly on SCP 8906 1. 8906 1 is a brief play written by a former occupant of Provisional Site 14. It is a sort of mask. Now, a mask is a form of theater popular in the 17th century, typically divided into a prologue, which is a brief overview performed out of character, the anti-mask, a chaotic pantomime, and a mask, a more structured dance to counter or resolve the anti-mask, and revels, a full court dance. Usually it was intended to glorify the court and honor the ruler observing by depicting an allegory, a figure bringing order to a chaotic and unseemly scenario. The mask that SCP 8906 1 is trying to portray, it's a plight of a group of farmers during a drought, upon which an entity referred to as an archon, which we believe represents SCP 8906, descends from the heavens and provides them with its favor in exchange for their amusing it. The author of this play, Joseph McIntyre, believed the performance of this play would encourage growth in SCP-8906, and thus his own wealth and power. Tests to verify are ongoing, and to really help you understand what 8906-1 is, I'm going to show you. Addendum 1, transcript of SCP-8906 performance. Prologue. Lead role. You should be mature, virtuous, with a fair complexion and of strong blood, infinite in faculty, a paragon of masculinity, a figure of authority within a powerful body would suffice. Perhaps a director. An acting director is undesirable. Our star clears his throat and shifts atop the stage. These are black, hollow times in which we find ourselves. The world tends ever further towards chaos as men forget their morals, their places, their hearts, and lose their discipline. This black planet takes and takes and takes, and we can never rest should it take everything. And it is for that reason that we are so grateful to you. For that reason that we honor you. For we see what you have done, and we desire that for ourselves. And in your infinite grace you may see fit to grant us it. And it is for that reason that we celebrate you, and all you are, and all you can be. And there indeed will be time for you to bless us so. Addendum 2. Security feed cellar. SCP-8906 is in the center of the room, forcing its way out of the concrete floor and reaching up to the ceiling. Black tendrils extend from the top of its mass, shaking through the room and twine to the tops of the wine racks. Crow-like polyps grow out of them at irregular intervals, fluttering and shivering, occasionally making groaning noises akin to bird calls. Crowhurst walks into the room, stopping at the top of the stairs, and looks up at SCP-8906. "Hi." The polyps shudder, croaking. Crowhurst starts briefly, but regains his composure and begins to make his way downstairs. As he reaches the concrete, he stops. It takes a few seconds to fully survey the room. "Sorry, the other guy won't be coming back. Not his fault, you understand, but it had to be done. Procedure. I'm in charge now. Pleased to make your acquaintance." SCP-8906 pulses and quivers. Crowhurst hesitates and starts walking slow taps around his main body. "To be perfectly honest, we don't really know if you're sapient. My predecessor definitely thought you were, but we try to be rather more methodological about these things. It's nothing personal." We're trying to figure it out, though. Some of the staff even started a poll. Odds are pretty much even at the moment. I put a 5 on you being sentient. Obviously, mind you, if you want to give us some pointers either way, we'd very much appreciate it. Not that I'm asking. The fella here worshipped you, you know? I suppose you'd like that. I imagine most people would. Whether you're a person or not, I mean, I suppose you are a god. It'd be pretty galling to be considered you a person. Depending what sort of god you were, maybe. I suppose the whole point of being a god is that we can't tell if you are or not. Not that it matters in the end. We all know where Pascal put his money at any rate. He shuffles up to SCP-8906's central mass and raises his hand. "I try not to gamble, to be honest. Best not to mess with things you don't really grasp." He drops his hand to his side. "Better safe than sorry." He turns and leaves. Addendum 3. SCP-8906-1. Excerpt 1. The ballroom must be dark as coal, silent. The floor should be covered in dust and soil, old and dry. Enter 5 men, ideally played by lowly junior researchers. They should wear ragged suits and a dark mask, that in the gloom they almost appear headless. None in the play should know any other's countenance. Their head, a once proud farmer, takes center stage. He stands, but low, head bowed, shoulders tight and clenched, while his weak compatriots wail and crawl around him. Now, this summer, we discolate. For our fallow fields run barren, fetid, as an old maid whose late years take cruel tides. From a diminishing harvest she is left cold, as we are all in the blackest cursed night. What can we do? Starve ourselves for family? Must a man go without to save his own? I would behead myself to save one hair, but what world is this to bear fatherless? Would I merely cause them further injury? No! I do not believe it. We will live. From this rotted ground we will grow anew, for we worship one, kind, gracious, and strong, who breathes life into rotted, gruesome soil, into rotted souls to purify them. But will he come here, to us worthless ones? No, I think not, no. At this point, the other men should moan violently and come together, clutching one another, dragging one another around. I am not reading that. Fools, have some dignity. We are not children. We are all good men. Know your worth. This world is yours, if only you have the heart and stomach to take it. Addendum 4. Interview with Wesley McIntyre, former owner of Provisional Site 14. Forward. McIntyre was the only person in the building at time of recovery. He was discovered in the cellar, laying across from SCP-8906's tendrils. Begin log. Crowhurst saunters into the library, repurposed as a detention room. He nods to each of the helmeted guards and sits at the table between the 2 bookshelves, planting his coffee mug on the table with slightly too much force. On the other side is a handcuffed McIntyre. "Hello, West, son. You've gotten yourself into some trouble here, haven't you?" "No comment." "Sorry, that's not going to fly here. I'm not PC Plod. I know who you are, and I know about the thing in the basement. You're not getting out of this, so if you know what's good for you, you'll talk. Should I be intimidated? You can be whatever you like, so long as it's chatty. And what, pray tell, should I chat about? Let's start with the cellar, I think. As though you could possibly understand that. Crowhurst smiles, leaning forward. If you're going to call me stupid, you might want to consider your place. I'm not the one chained to a table, and I'm certainly not the one who got caught lying in a puddle of sick on the big fella in the cellar. You might have had some money and power a while back, but all you have right now is the hope that I'll take pity on you, so you better start talking. McIntyre is quiet for a moment, fists clenched. If you want information at all, I'll thank you to not be so disrespectful. My fortunes may have temporarily downturned, but my name still carries some weight. Certainly more than yours. And how'd you figure that? Look at you. No decorum, no name, just a child dressing up as a man, bumbling his way through life's torturous game. And don't think I haven't noticed the accent. The electrocutionist has done a passable job, I suppose, but I know what you really are. You will always be a Liverpoolian underneath. Crowhurst sits back in his chair, stretching. He takes a sip of his coffee, puts the mug down, and pulls a taut smirk. Well, I suppose that'll be of great comfort to you. I suppose I'll have to console myself with the thought of you rotting in a holding cell for the rest of your life. Oh, I'll be living a rich and full life, dear boy, I assure you. Oh, come on, you can't black concrete. We'll see. I'm sure we will. At that point, a seismic event occurred within Provisional Site 14. The mug of coffee shudders off the table and smashes on the floor. The hell? Oh dear. Not been feeding him, have you? Feeding? It's a pigeon with the delusions of grandeur. What? No! McIntyre takes a second, breathing steadily. Show some respect. Crowhurst looks at him for a moment, then leans forward, resting his chin on his vest. Respect? For it? McIntyre flinches. You don't get to talk about a god like that. Not in his own house. Interesting. And I suppose you're the priest. Or maybe the choir boy. We have an arrangement. And who arranged it? You? No, you don't strike me as the type with the nose. Daddy's idea, was it? My estate has prospered for decades, and it's thanks to his generosity. Your estate is dead in the water. I've seen the accounts. HMRC's been circling it for years, and the only thing keeping you from being a national laughingstock is your complete irrelevance. Not that generous, is it? Because he's been neglected. I can't serve him by myself, but everyone else went their separate ways. Said they were satisfied. And you weren't? Didn't fancy getting a job in the chippy, I guess. He provides, he always has. And you may want to ensure he doesn't stop. Why? What'll it do? McIntyre looks down and refuses to answer. Closing statement. No further useful information has been gathered from Wesley McIntyre. He's remanded to a holding cell in Provisional Site 14 for 2 days before being transferred to Site 23, where he will remain in charge of Director Genevieve McIntyre. Addendum 5. Security Feed. Study. The House of Study has been repurposed as Crowhurst's office as he sits at his desk on a secure laptop screen as 057. As traditional for security purposes, he is unlit. That's all we've gotten out of him, at any rate. Has Genevieve gotten anywhere? Not yet, but I remain optimistic. You catch more flies with honey than vinegar, after all. but you get rid of more with a fly swatter. I think your approach yielded all the success it was ever likely to. Crowhurst scowls, then quickly wipes the expression from his face. Of course, sorry, sir. We have gotten a little carried away. Hopefully your heavy-handedness hasn't had too negative an impact on him. He always was rather wet, that boy. You know him? Well, I knew his grandfather. He served in India together. Good man. Better than that feckless oaf at any rate. He'd be ashamed. Yes, well. He takes a sip from his opaque mug, expressing a grimace. Don't suppose his grandfather, ever mentioned having a god in his basement making him rich. Only when he was drunk. Ah, of course. Forgot how insidious O5 integration techniques were. And you do well to remember, should you ever get a sight permanently. He nearly became an O5 too, you know. 7, in fact. Wasn't up for it, I'm afraid. Of course, you need a certain je ne sais quoi to be suitable for the role like this. Crowhurst slides a ballpoint pen to his lap and begins disassembling it. Some people have it, some just don't. However much of a good man they are. Do you believe him? McIntyre? I don't know. I believe he believes it. I also believe a pigeon believes its little dance is what's getting it birdseed. Fair comment. Tell me about the play. Well, I'm no expert, but I understand it's fairly conventional. A few wretched farmers down in their luck pray to a god. He restores them to the rightful places. Everyone has a bit of a dance. Standard fare. How complex is it? I don't follow. How much manpower would it require to perform? Rehearsal time. I mean, a bit of practice and a few liberties. I reckon we can get 80% of the way there. But I'd definitely be an amateur production. It'd take serious money to get anything like it's supposed to be. We're not exactly the RCS. But McIntyre Sr., with greatest respect, sir, he wasn't exactly Shakespeare. No, that was director Yaxley. Joseph was more a Rowley. You're not seriously. The room shakes, and Crowhurst grabs the desk to steady himself. Deep within the house, cawing and flapping wings can be heard. 80% will have to do, I think. Addendum 6. SCP-8906-1. Excerpt 2. The men are stood at equidistant intervals with shovels and hoes in their hand. They till the soil dramatically, cascading dust all about, trading places with abandoned. Altogether and out of sync. We are apart, we cannot harmonize. Too many men in each man to make men. Of us we look to you, O greatest one. Take from us our differences and make us one. Let us be what you desire above all. A blaze of white light fills the air. Enter Archon. Addendum 6. Excerpt from Acting Director Crowhurst's personal log. Settled in, and things are coming along fairly well so far. Office is kind of a box, but RHIP, I get the master bedroom, a bottle of the good stuff, a bit of peace and quiet. Some of the staff aren't getting the not supposed to see each other thing, and I keep getting emails inviting me to a pub in the town. I'm not going to touch that town with a barge pole, and I'm certainly not having anyone cozying up to me. Can't stand careerists. So, here's the itinerary. Modernize the water flows. Juice for that, Wes. Already sick of boiling it. Order in a bunch of props or some rubbish equivalents given the budget. Learn how to dance with a big tumor in the basement. Probably should have just told Seven Wes is a loony. Should have known he'd fixate on this. Should have known better after all the clusterfuck with the moth and Chinchester. I just hope I don't embarrass myself here. Addendum 7. Security feed. Cellar. Music and general commotion can be heard distantly, muffled by the layers of flesh proofing the walls and ceiling. The polyps flutter and caw, a few seconds before Crowhurst bursts in. He grabs a railing and leans over at SCP-8906, nearly toppling over for a second. I don't believe it. Without looking away, he slides down the stairs, body pressed against the banister. When he reaches the bottom, he stops, keeping his distance. 13 new anomalies contained in a fortnight. They found that many in the last 5 months. Plus the fronts in the south and west are pulling in 3 times what they normally do, which is a drop in the ocean, but still. The polyps squawk at him, flapping the protuberances. Black flakes of flesh drift down upon Crowhurst. He closes his eyes and tightens his jaw, but does not move. I'm sorry. I don't mean any disrespect. I guess there wasn't any real attachment to McIntyre then. You get what you need, whatever you can get it, and that'll do you? I suppose if it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. I certainly wouldn't be that attached to him. SCP-8906 groans, and the house shudders slightly. Crowhurst coughs and looks down. Nothing personal. I get he was here for a while, and I guess I'm the new McIntyre now. Guess this is what I'm meant to do with my life. He did his whole life, right? So, I guess that's me now. I suppose what I have to say is, one of SCP-8906's tendrils slithers around and up a supporting column, patiently pushing its way up into the ceiling. Plaster dust falls onto some of the polyps, painting them gray. Thank you. Addendum 8. SCP-8906-1, Except 3. The ballroom is awash in a white light. Floodlights been installed to descend, to sear the eyes. At center stage stands Archon, wearing a deep red robe and a porcelain-beaked mask adorning crow's feathers, holding a rubied scepter. The men should shield their eyes and groan awfully, clutching on to one another. Archon looks up at them and sighs. How strange that I should find such terror here. I happen upon broken men full of fear, unable to help themselves, no, unwilling. You cannot hear the sun and moon inside sing. Dearest faithful followers, why despair? Do you really think this world so unfair? That good men with good hearts should find themselves in such desolation that their deep delves into themselves should provide no fortune. For you are strong, come all you children commune. I will wash you clean in scalding moonlight, burn the rotted flesh from your skin this night. For all that you can be is within you. Archon steps down from the stage and surveys his men, shaking his head with pity. You must be willing to be born anew. Tear yourselves apart, let me reconstruct you into something worthy from what's untucked. Away deep you are not yet worthy, no. You poor wasted souls, how unkind this world, to punish good men whose wings ne'er unfurled. You can live at last, each would wear the crown, so breathe deep my spoke, and let yourselves drown. Addendum 9. Excerpt from Acting Director Crowhurst's personal log. Done it 5 times over 35 days. Apparently 65% of UK sites are reporting at least some increase in anomalies contained, reduction in containment reaches, and or reduction in exponential. Maybe some of that exponential can go on doing this place up. Things certainly growing, but it's growing into an actual structure of the house, and there's not a lot of room for said structure to go in response. We've completely lost the bathroom at this point. Thank fuck the water fillers are still holding, or we'd have a whole new problem. Everyone's so damn cheerful. I feel like Santa watching the elves scurry about on Christmas Eve. They're still trying to get me to the pub, and I'm still not going into that town. I don't even know what they want me. They're bloody Foundation VIPs at this point. They need my approval too? Oh, Christ, I need a drink. Addendum 10. SCP-8906-1. Except 4. Archon takes up a torch, substituted with a barbecue lighter for convenience, and lights up 5 coils of incense, placed as points of a pentagram at the far edges of the room, All 10 men should be stood in the middle, still for the first time in the performance. Within you is all you are and all have been. The greatest virtues, lechery unseen, love and hate and everything in between. Well, no more. All men cry out and rejoice. For 10 men, however unworthy, can harmonize. But 10 must become one to sing in unison. You wish for a hermetic harvest? It's yours. And for you know what a harvest requires, and you know what I will provide it for. The men danced joyously around the ballroom, each completing one full circuit before returning to their original positions. You know what I like. I like what you know. I must know you. No nuance, no discord. You must be hollow. You must be your fathers, and your fathers' fathers, men you all know. And I, Father, all the while will help you. Men in unison. We are you. We are us, and in no other. Father, father, son, son, brother, brother. Crowhurst produces a blade. Now, you reshaped yourselves into my image. Only your transformation sets you free. A seismic event hits Provisional Site 14. Crowhurst yelps, steadying himself on the wall, and all personnel start. One of the incense coils falls to the ground, and junior researcher hurriedly removes his jacket to try and smother the flames. What happened? Did you move? No, Did you Wait. Whose phone is that? Oh, it's... Look, just clean up in here, and for God's sake, don't burn the place down. Crowhurst withdraws his mobile phone from underneath his robe and scurries out of the room. Addendum 11. Security feed. Study. Crowhurst sits at his desk, phone to his ear. His face is ashen, and he stares in the middle distance. How many? Do we have tabs on any of them? Well, I do apologize for expecting you to have some sort of contingency plans, but it's not my fucking site, is it? He rubs the bridge of his nose as he listens. No, I didn't mean... No, I can't imagine. I'm... How long were you and her? Yeah, I get why. No, I don't think so. Oh, no, you are not pinning this on me. We were halfway through when it happened. We weren't doing anything differently. Look, I get that you're upset, but don't you dare... Hello? Don't... Fuck! The handset clicks as he slams it down and sits back, chair squeaking. He reaches down and pulls open the drawer in his desk, which clinks. Above him, the tendril that has broken through the wall and runs to the center of the room quivers. As the crows attached to it regard him, he eyes them, slowly and carefully shutting the drawer. Is this you? One of the crows snaps at another. When I was on the phone, I didn't. This isn't on me, is it? I'm doing my best, you know. What do you want from me? I'm doing my best. You know that, right? Provisional Site 14 shakes gently for a few seconds, and Crowhurst holds his head in his hands. Closing statement. Over the next 3 weeks, 2 further containment breaches occurred across the UK, with 25 casualties and 7 anomalies lost. Acting Director Crowhurst has been officially reprimanded, and further resources sent to Provisional Site 14 to aid the performances of SCP 8906-1. Fuck. Too late, gonna keep going. Addendum 12. Provisional Site 14 required stock 050915. Extra staff for SCP 8906-1, plus assorted costuming. Use of SCP redacted to allow multiple performances of SCP-8906-1 by each group during the same external time period. 1 liter bottle of brandy, Napoleon brand. Tapestry featuring depictions of SCP-8906 and moments from SCP-8906-1 for exaltation. Scaffolding to reinforce ceiling in bathroom. Addendum 13. Memorandum from Acting Director Crowhurst. Good folk of 5-5, congratulations. With your sterling work, we are on flying form, and commendations are sure to follow. Profits are soaring. Containment surges, 8906 grows. We have the best stuff here in the whole country, and I'm sure of that, even if I can't put a face to you. Still, that is maybe, I still know you well. I praise you with no nuance, no discord, and I do not doubt our further successes. End recording. End recording. End the fucking... Addendum 14. SCP 8906-1. Excerpt 5. The 25 men in the center of the room cheer, and Crowhurst approaches, blade held aloft. The nearest man raises his hand and takes it from him. Your eyes, that you see nothing unknown. Mine, gouging the eyes. Your ears, that you hear nothing fearful. Mine, piercing the eardrum. Your tongue, that you say naught unrecognized. Mine, removing the tongue. Your head, think now only what you have thought. Mime, stabbing the head. Your soul, that you may be full once again. Mime, gutting. I fucking hate tourist traps. Taking mouth gets all the attention. This place is close enough. They siphon off all the visitors without being close enough to actually be worth visiting, and it's just as bad. Beaches that promise soaring sun just give you all the oil-slick seas and torrential rain. Authentic food that's just overpriced clotted cream and scones. I could get the same dross from the cafe at Tesco. Fascinating history of swashbuckling pirates that's all just nicked from the big cities where actual interesting things happened. I don't know how anyone survives here. All falling down. These castles look impressive, even though there's nothing left inside. Places like this, you don't even get the facade. Not sure why I went down there today. Maybe because it's the off-season. Nobody goes to resorts in October. I sort of assumed that the place would have shut down, and all the residents switched off until the fairground reopened. Maybe it appealed to me. It's never a moment's quiet nowadays. I just want some quiet. Anyway, I was basically right. It's a ghost town. Well, mostly. There's a place, Miranda's Miracles. Farnsworth recommended it before he got transferred. Thought I ought to check it out. Trudged in, bell chimed, but Miranda, I assume she was Miranda, but she was on the phone. She didn't notice me. Dumpy thing, 60s, I guess. I'm not sure. Never been good with faces. Try putting it in something sweet then, huh? Wrap it in window or something. No, I know, but it does work on dogs. She massaged her forehead then. I couldn't make a composite for her, but I remember how grey she looked. The bags under her eyes. I see those enough all day, every day. Look, love, you can only do what you can do. It's not your fault. You are... Did he just break something? All right, I'll let you go. Calf shuts in an hour. I'll be there as soon as I can, all right? Lots of love. She hung up and sighed, then started muttering to herself. I probably should have said something, but I didn't really care, so I just cleared my throat. Scared the shit out of her, which I should feel bad for, but it's the first unscripted emotion I've seen in weeks. Oh, all right, my love. Sorry, didn't see you there. She tripped up. God, I hate Bristol accents. I just said clearly, and she sort of shifted, as well she may. Thankfully, she was a bit less chirpy when she apologized again and asked me what I wanted. So I asked for a tea and a scone. She could pay attention long enough. And she started getting ratty with me, and none of this fucking matters. Why am I bothering? She was nice. Nicer than she should have been. I could see she wanted to knock my block off, but she held it together right until she started filling a kettle with boiled water. I made a crack about not being able to afford a coffee machine. She apologized straight away, but I know, pissed off at a dickhead, and I know something is wrong. And I could see this was for the latter. I work for the Foundation. You need instinct for the latter. You don't get where I am now without one. There was something wrong with the water. The tap just spat out this thick, white fluid. Acrid, it made my eyes water. It's not usually that bad, apparently, but if it's ever that bad, there's something seriously wrong. I took a sample, stole that water bottle when she wasn't looking, but I didn't need to. We both knew what it was. We just didn't want to. She thought it was impossible. I thought it was too possible. Because there's a reservoir right near here, just over the hill. And if the water in the town blows, turning into bird shit, I feel I know where that's coming from. We've been doing this for months. They've been drinking it, washing in it. Marina said she got in touch with the council, said they're very concerned they're getting on it by doing a bitten house. She has a grandson. He's not even old enough to have his jabs. Got another meeting with 7 tomorrow. Apparently they've contained 5 new skips since last time. He's sending them over. They've got to talk to him. We can't go on like this. Oh? Why never not? He's a reasonable man, a worldly man. He knows what the right thing to do is. The right thing for whom, dear boy? We could do this somewhere else. Hell, we can not do it at all. We got on perfectly fine this long without poisoning anyone. I'm afraid that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Unless you'd like to step down, I'm sure a young upstart would be eager to take the position. I'm knackered. We're doing this 24/7 now. New strangers are not allowed to look at flooding in, and I'm the one drowning. Maybe I should step down. Maybe. Did you really think we were finished here? Crowhurst stands atop the stage, consciously still in the crimson lighting. He steps down the stage to the ballroom floor as he speaks. This is not what you asked for. I'm doing what you wanted. I'm doing my best. You know that, right? The show must go on, and what a show. Around the ballroom, men act, over and over, overlapping into an organized cacophony. Beautiful order. Tongues severed, regrown by SCP, redacted to be severed and regrown again. All is as it should be, in perfect order, an endless cycle of betterment, worship, profit, to clearly correlate with the efficiency of Foundation operations through unknown mechanisms. You've seen it before. You'll see it again. You won't see any better. We're all the same, inside and out. Isn't that the point? However fancy the mask is, there's always someone underneath, but there doesn't have to be. Walks in procession to his side, holding the scepter. Crowhurst smiles. We can transcend that. Free ourselves from life's torturous game. That's the point, after all, isn't it? To become something better, more worthy. Something that silly old us can never do. Who needs a soul, after all? And there's so much else to fill up with. Crowhurst takes the scepter and freezes. He lurches forward, once, twice. A thin stream of vomit forces its way through the slit of his mask, and he drops the staff, clutching at his face, but his limp fingers simply brush ineffectually over the strings, branding it to his face, and the vomit forces its way back to burn the rotted flesh from his skin this night. No matter. At this point, he isn't really necessary. He continues to wrestle with himself, drowning in mask and robe, but why is he bothering? None of it fucking matters. And the house shakes violently, throwing him to the ground. A chunk of stone falls from the ceiling, tendrils still attached and spewing ichor, crushing 3 men. Fleshy crows fly from the gap. Crowhurst scrambles on the floor through the tremors, eventually crawling to the doors, where he grabs onto the handle as almost swung through the air. He barely pulls himself up and collapses through the doors as the rebels continue behind him. I'm afraid that's just the way the house crumbles. Scene 15. Interior cellar. The actual structure is barely visible. He has grown to vast proportions. Tendrils wind through the wine racks, bottles shatter on the ground where they have been forced off, staining the floorboards red. Enter Crowhurst, disheveled, the beak of his mask smashed off, his chin coated in his own fluids. He staggers down the stairs, tripping halfway down and barely catching himself, swinging on the banister as it groans in protest. Bleary-eyed, he stares at the main body of him, wrapped around its pillar, and snorts, a half-smile appearing and vanishing in an instant, and a slur in his voice. "Oh, hey. Fancy seeing you here." He totters down the remaining stairs, shoes squenching on the black meat of him, and he sways before it. "It's all gone to hell. All bloody gone to hell. That's what's up there. Hell. And it's not going to stop." He twitches, majestic. "They've all lost their minds. Every single one of them. Or I have. Because I just don't get it. There's a town full of people drinking bird shit. A load of people, my people, good people, upstairs, tearing themselves apart. At least I think they're good people. At least I think they're my people. I don't know. I don't recognize any other faces. Still, at least I'm here. If I ever was." The house shakes again, and one of the few remaining bottles crashes from its rack. It should not hit Crowhurst, instead being cushioned by his flesh. "I did everything you wanted. Fuck those people in town over. Danced like a coked-up lunatic. I became everything you wanted, but it wasn't enough. Is that where the soul shite came from? We can't have a soul because you don't? I guess you're the sort of god we should have expected." He twitches and gurgles. His crows flap their wings and scream his song. Crowhurst feebly grabs the wine bottle and throws it at them. They squawk and jump to avoid it before turning their gaze to him. "Well, what is it that you wanted? Did you want anything?" Finally, he stumbles, landing in a heap and splattering ichor around him. With a grunt, he struggles to sit upright and leans back on his gracefully accepting form. After a moment, he breaks into a genuine smile. "You haven't understood a word I've been saying, have you?" A crow breaks off from a nearby tendril and flaps over, perching on Crowhurst's shoulder. After an experimental peck at his neck, it eyes him evenly, then caws, and the flock descends. For all of my friends here in the audience today who are from the UK, I do apologize for any atrocious accent that may have come out of my mouth during this session. Cognito hazard effects do not account for good accents. So, thank you all for coming today. If you're here, that means you're being sent to the United Kingdom to make sure this doesn't continue happening. If you're wanting to be reassigned to somewhere else, put a suggestion box in the back. I'm going to go get some water. I haven't been speaking this long in a long time. Let me know which of our skips you want me to do next in the comment box down below. And you all dismissed. Coffee and snacks in the back at the file as well for you to read to get caught up. And if you aren't supposed to be here, I see you. I know who you are. So the security team, just stay where you are. They'll get to you shortly, okay? Yeah. Dismissed.